Today, Precarious plays
Lost Kingdoms 2. So imagine... Wait, I should explain something to start.
Okay.
There's a problem, I think, where Dark Souls was a really influential game. It's a very well-liked and well-respected game. And it comes to people's minds pretty easily whenever they see something they like in another title, right? Mm-hmm. And they use Dark Souls as their basis of comparison. So it's become sort of a joke to say that something is like, it's just like Dark Souls.
Yeah,
right?
It's like Dark Souls.
Just like Dark Souls. So it creates a problem whenever something really actually is like Dark Souls. So I'm gonna try to make the case for why, honestly, really, this game is like Dark Souls and might even be, in one important sense, more Dark Souls than Dark Souls. Truly, Lost Kingdoms 2 is the Dark Souls of Dark Souls. Your HP... So everything in this game feels like it is intended to drive the player towards a conclusion.
Yeah.
Success rewards you with more success, and failure quickly results in even more failure. So let me give you an example. I'm gonna try to get hit just enough right now to show this, because this enemy is fairly weak.
Yeah.
And it will tank my rating for the map, but I want to demonstrate it now on purpose in a controlled environment, instead of trying to...
Explain it when it's happening to you uncontrolled and making you furious?
Like for realsies later on, because I'm sure it will happen, but it won't be at a point where I'll be in a state to explain it and show it off, you know? Mm-hmm. Okay, there we go. So you see how Tara is holding her gut and she's moving more slowly?
Yeah.
It gets worse here. Okay, so
and now you're limping.
Yeah, and it actually impacts the way you move pretty substantially.
Uh-huh.
And that combined with the magic stones having to cast from them if you run out of magic.
Yeah.
Or having to cast from your HP if you run out of magic stones, I should say. I might end up dying right now.
You might have done too good a job.
I didn't expect them to come back. There we go. Okay.
Okay.
Oh. Here. I'll
You're
fix it.
going to be all right? You don't look all right.
No, it's fine. I'm fine. Everything's okay. I've got a fairy friend.
Hey, fairy friend.
Just as long as that man-eater isn't sneaking up behind me. Gotcha. There, back to full.
Okay.
So those seemingly possibly separate elements quickly create unwinnable scenarios where, like, let me give you an example. You get hit. Mm-hmm. You get a little mad. You use a card rashly, and then it uses up all your magic stones. And then you think, like, it's fine. I'll eat the damage. It's only 2 stones. It's Lizard Man. I'll just keep swinging until the enemy is dead. And then you wind up in a situation where you're at 40 HP. You are facing another wave of enemies down the line. And you're out of magic stones. It's sort of like... See? It's sort of like... playing Dark Souls if the only way to get more stamina was to successfully hit targets. I mean, that's really accurate.
Stamina
to attempt to attack.
Yeah, I see. Well, that just means that this game forces you to be very, very thoughtful, which is basically Dark Souls, right?
Yeah, I mean, like,
you have tools and you have to use them in a certain way or you won't. Like right now, you're pulling from your health meter.
Yes. yeah, I'm not looking forward to seeing my rating on this one. But ideally, hopefully we'll never see that limping animation again in this playthrough. It's probably not going to happen, but I can dream.
Yeah.
I can dream and hope.
You really enjoy games like this. Like, this has... I know that you're a fan of the survival horror genre.
Well, I'm a fan of the more action-y survival horror games that equip you to defend yourself.
Right.
Because I'm not actually very much into, say, like Fatal Frame or Clock Tower or even really Silent Hill, because it's more about, it's a disempowerment fantasy.
Yeah.
You were going to say something?
I just think that it's interesting that... What are these guys?
Stormhagen, I believe.
That doesn't sound good.
No.
I just threw a hammer axe at you. I think it's interesting that you have such a preference for the games that will, like, give you the tools that you need, but they are also very difficult. There are maybe, like, 3 right ways to do it total. You can't just keep recovering.
I think that if I had to say that there's one bit of connective tissue between all From Software's titles, that would probably be it. I think that they just had a corporate culture that was sort of do or die. Like, that's the idea that interested the majority of their employees, because you see it again and again. I've been playing spiritual successor to Armored Core, Daemon Ex Machina recently, and that struck me. There are ways to get new weapons, and wow, generous. There are ways to get new weapons in the field and recover HP, and that's, I can't remember what it's called. Vitality.
Yeah.
Suit juice. Go power. Armor strength. There are ways to recover that in the field, which was not usually the case in Armored Core. In Armored Core, it's this arcade-style mission-based structure, very similar to this game, where it's this constant downward trend. Now, that might not be very evident so far, because I used a fairy to recover my HP, but that still ate into my magic stones, and that fairy card was gone for the mission. Unlike the first one, unless I'm mistaken, and if this is the case, I apologize, but while I was testing the game, I think that they made a change to where cards like, do you remember in the first game, the Mind Flayer?
Yeah.
So Mind Flayer restores a number of cards to you, and if you have 2 of them and your deck is really small, you can rapidly cycle between them.
Yeah.
You can't do that here. I think that what they did is they made it to where they go into, it's sort of like the difference in a collectible card game. It's the difference between, or a collectible trading card game, the difference between the graveyard and removed from play. By some mechanism, I think that cards like Elephant here,
yeah,
it can restore I think it restores 2 cards, 2 used cards. I think that it itself can no longer be restored once it uses that. And I kind of like that, because it was the first game was really fragile, you might recall.
Yeah.
And it's because in the end, by the end of the game, whenever you can do this because you have the options available, but even in the middle of the game, if you want to, you can just go like, no, I'm gonna have 2 Mind Flayers, maybe like a couple of independent support type creatures, and then 1 really powerful summon or weapon type card. This game is much more resilient to that kind of play. I feel like the reason why I'm playing this one on the show is because, well, for one, I think that we're by and large better at recording and playing.
Yeah, it's not.
Okay, I will save over this one. It's a little sad, but it's fine. That's the file that I was testing on.
Yeah.
I think that we're better at this format, and also I think that this is mechanically a much superior title. There are some issues with the presentation. It's not been so bad so far, but did you notice how to describe it succinctly? Are we near the end of an episode?
Yeah.
I think whoever designed the camera system for cutscenes was very proud of their work and might have also been in charge of directing the camera in cutscenes. They made it to where the camera can move, and by God, is it always going to be moving.
We can do it. We will always do it.